Okay, so let's proceed to number 4 and solve for the area bounded by y cubed plus 3y is equal to x and x plus 1 quantity squared plus 14y minus 5 is equal to 0. Again, the first procedure that we have to follow here is graphing the equation. So I'll be using again yung Desmos and then just to show you how it is done using Desmos. Okay, so again, that is x is equal to y cubed. Dito i-type nyo lang yung, yung mismong equation and i-graph lang nila yan. Ano ba? X is equal to y cubed plus 5. Y cubed plus 3y pala yan. Y cubed plus 3y. And then yung isang equation is quantity x plus 1. I think that is squared. And then, ano kayo sunod? Plus 14y minus 5 is equal to 0. Plus 14y minus 5 is equal to 0. Okay, so this is your graph. And if you would be zooming out, so basically, it is a parabola that opens downward. And then yung isa naman is mere y cubed plus 3y. So ito lang yung equation niya. And ito yung ating concern dito, no? Itong area between these two curves. So, ito yon. If you'd be looking at this, so, ito yung kailangan nating area ang hanapin. Kasi sinabi nating area bounded, so ito lang yung area natin. You have two functions and then you just have to make sure na you're taking that area. Okay. So, the next step, I hope hindi masyado malakas yung tunog ng ulan. So, the next step here is to find yung intersection. So, yun yung next step lagi natin. Ang pinakaiba nito dun sa sinulong natin kanina, wala siyang yung bounded by x is equal to 1, x is equal to 4. Kasi kung mapansin nyo, when there are two equations and then meron silang intersection, so yun yung yun yung point na nagbabound sa kanila. So, hanggang dun lang yung ating ine-evaluate. So, from this, simple lang naman, we just have to determine yung ating point of intersection. And to do this, let's just substitute yung mga values natin. So, you can use this x, y cubed plus 3y, and then substitute mo dito siya. So, we have parang y cubed plus 3y plus 1 quantity squared plus 14y minus 5 is equal to 0. Now, ano ba yung parang tip natin para ma-compute, mahanap sila? So, since nakapag-graph na kayo using a graphing calculator, dito nyo yung ngayon i-check. So, kung hinahanap ko yung values ng y, 1 and y2, so alam ko may 2 points yan kasi 2 points ito eh. So, you can always check on this. Click nyo lang yan and then yun, papakita sa negative 1.256. So, when you try to use your calculator, so papakita ko sa inyo dito, paggamit ng calculator ulit, baka lang na in case na nakakalimutan nyo na. So, okay, so from this, 'di ba? Alam naman natin na the value is negative 1.256 and then dito is 0.184. So, y tayo ha kasi y to. So, dapat y yung hinahanap natin na value. So, from this, syempre pag dito nagsulat kayo, x pa rin yan, hindi siya y. Pero yun nga, ang makikita natin na value is in terms of y rather than the domain. So, ayan. Type nyo lang yan. Okay, and then plus 14y and minus 5 is equal to 0. Now, you press shift solve and then sabi natin, kailangan natin ng value that is close to negative 1.256. So, I'll just write negative 1. Okay, hoping na, ayan, nag-yield na siya sa negative 1.256. I'll store this value so that wala tayong maging problema later. And then you go back to your equation. So, hindi ka na pala pwede mag-go back. So, kailangan mo ulit siyang i-type x cubed plus 3y plus 1 quantity squared and then plus 14y and then minus 5 is equal to 0. Okay, and then shift solve. So, yung isa naman dito is 0.184. So, you just write, let's say, 0.2. Para mabilis yung calculator natin. Okay, so 0.183 827. Okay? So, na-store na natin yung two necessary values natin na gagamitin natin later. Ay, isulat natin dito. So, that's negative 1.2565. So, that is Negative 1.2565. Okay. And then, ano ba yung isa ulit? Ayun, wala yung calculator natin. So, yung isa is negative 1.8 sorry, negative 0.1838. Okay? Ayan. So meron na tayong two values ng y sub 1 and then y sub 2. And let us draw the element, no? Now, since we've already determined yung values ng y natin, so dapat may x pa rin yan ha, para at least point talaga siya, x and y. But in this case kasi, I'll be using the horizontal element and not the vertical element. So you might be asking, bakit di na lang sir yung vertical element? Kasi kung mapapansin nyo, pag nagdraw kayo ng vertical element dito, kahit some portion dyan, yung upper curve will always be the upper curve. And that is correct naman. But even though it is true, kung mapapansin nyo, when you go back to the equation, sabi natin, if you try to use vertical strip, you should be using yung ating equation in terms of x. Okay? And if you go back to your equation, wala tayong problema dun sa ating second function kasi pwede naman natin siyang express in terms of x. Isolate lang natin yung y and then meron tayong x. Pero how about this particular equation natin dito sa first function, yung kulay blue? This one is x is equal to y cubed plus 3y. Can you imagine, can you write this in terms of y is equal to a pure function of x, knowing na y lang yun nandito? This is very difficult to do kasi this is in cube. Okay? And then 3y siya. Tapos, hindi naman siya perfect cube. And we don't have any standard mathematical method in dealing with this na pang college level na na hanapin natin. Kasi hindi siya common na ginagawa. Let's say you add, let's say, positive 1. Is it factorable in terms of, let's say, nga yung cubed or basta as in pure function siya ng y. So, this is very impossible for us to do. Kaya, hindi natin siya gagamitin. Yun yung sinasabi natin na case na even though the strip is a better option kasi nga upper curve minus lower curve lang or vice versa kung left curve minus right curve lang. Right curve minus left curve. The equations, the solution still varies on the equation kasi hindi natin siya kayang express in the pure function of that certain variable. So, you have to remember that. Kaya, I have to resort to using the horizontal strip. Even though, if I'll be using this horizontal strip, I will be experiencing two areas here. Kasi kung mapansin nyo, at this point of intersection, meron tayong dalawang areas. This is the first area. Ito. And then this is your second area. Okay? So, from this, I have to make sure na I'll be drawing out two areas. And then, ano ba yung magiging limits natin? So, limits is y sub 1 and then y sub 2. Pero, from this one, y sub 1 and then y sub 2 kasi meron tayong two functions here. Pero, how about for this one? That is y sub 2 going to this point here, which is actually the vertex of your parabola. So therefore, we also need to find the vertex of this parabola para may magamit tayo as y sub 3 natin. So ito yung ating y sub 1. Okay? This is your y sub 2 and this portion here is your y sub 3. Okay? So from this, madali naman siyang hanapin. Just do the vertex form. So that is x plus 1 quantity squared. Transpose natin to. So that is negative 14y plus 5. And then we can just factor out negative 14. So that's y minus 5 over 14. So therefore, the answer here is 5 over 14. So therefore, y sub 3 is equal to 5 over 14. Okay, so knowing these values, we can now find the area. So therefore, the total area is the sum of area 1 and then area 2. Wherein yung ating area 1 is simply the parang right side nito ating parabola and then minus left. So from this, diba, alam naman natin na the right side of this parabola, you can just transform this in terms of x, in terms of y. So that is square root of 14y plus 5 I mean negative 14y plus 4, 5 minus 14y plus minus, and then minus 1. So this is your x. Okay? So from this, your area 1 would be the integral. So ito yung area 1 ko, the integral of y sub 2 to y sub 3. So that is negative 0.1838 to 5 over 14. And then ano ba yung nasa right natin na equation? So that's positive. So you can have positive 14, let's say 5 minus 14y na lang. So 5 minus 14y square root and then minus 1 and then minus its negative counterpart. So that's minus square root of 5 minus 14y minus 1. Okay? And this is dy. Okay? That's the area 1. And then ano yung area 2 natin? So i-add ngayon natin yung area 2, that is the integral from negative 1.2565 to negative 0.1838, and that is your function at the right. So that's y cubed plus 3y. So y cubed plus 3y. And then, minus natin ngayon this expression, which is, kung mapansin nyo, this is the left portion of that equation. So we take the negative side of this. So that's minus the negative square root of 15, ano ba yun? 5 ba yun? 5. So we have 5 minus 14y, and then minus 1, and then enclose natin to into dy. So yun na yun. Sulat ko na lang siguro ulit dito kasi hindi na siya kasya. So we add yung ating negative 1.2565 to negative 0.1838, and then yung ating right function is y cubed plus 3y, and then subtract natin ngayon yung left side, which is the negative part of this parabola. So that's minus the negative square root of 15 minus 4y, and then minus 1 dy. Okay, so yun na yun. And then, upon evaluation to this will give you a value that is equal to 3.7930, which is, of course, the unit is square units. Okay, so this is your final answer for this problem. And you might be thinking, sir, pasolve na ulit using vertical. So sabi ko nga, ulitin ko, hindi natin kaya yon. Hindi ko yun kayang solving ng vertical kasi nga, I couldn't express that first function in terms of pure function of x in such a way that it is written as y is equal to pure function of x. So that's quite impossible. Okay. So yun. So with this, you are quite restricted to one solution, which is using horizontal strip and two areas. Okay. Okay, so for number 6, we have find the value of the area common. So, pag sinabi natin common, ito yung area between, di ba? So, common to x squared plus 3x plus y squared is equal to 1. So, kung natatandaan nyo yung inyong mga discussions in analytic geometry, so this is a circle kasi nga same lang yung coefficients ng x and then y squared. And 2x squared plus y squared minus 8x is equal to 5. So, for this case, diba, meron tayong positive values for x squared and then y squared, pero yung x natin has a greater coefficient, so this is practically an ellipse. So, yon. And then, yun. It has a tip, use horizontal strip. So, for this case kasi, tip lang naman yun, pwede hindi natin sundin, pero for this case, if it's possible to use vertical strip, we'll also be using that. Pero kung may tip na nakalagay ito, usually this is the better option. Pero pwede yung other way around. So this one I already graphed this in the Desmos app. So you can see it from here na this is the graph of the function. The first one is the square. So ito yung violet, and then yung black is the ellipse, which has a principal axis at the y-axis. Okay, and then yung concern lang naman natin dito is all about this portion here, which is the area common to both of them. And if you're asked to solve for this, which one is the better option, the vertical or the horizontal strip? So first of all, if you'd be looking at the first of all, we have to alamin muna natin yung intersection nila bago tayo mag-solve. So from this, you can see na you can point yung portion here, and then you would see the intersection. That's 0.35 to 1.39. So let's determine that using our own method. So from this, you can just use yung ating y squared is equal to 1. So, di ba ito? Y squared is equal to 1 minus x squared minus 3x. And then, substitute natin ito ngayon dito sa second equation. So, that's 2x squared plus 1 minus x squared minus 3x minus 8x is equal to 5. So, therefore, we can determine x sub 1 and then x sub 2. And then, kailangan natin yung y sub 1 and y sub 2 yung ka-pair nila. Kasi nga, solve natin to using vertical and horizontal strips. So, yung ating x sub 1 and x sub 2 is actually the same. So, that's negative 0.352. And then, naibali yung ating y sub 1. So isang negative and isang positive dito. So, we have negative 1.3903 and then yung isa is positive 1.3903. Okay? So, ayun. So, pwede nating labelan to. This is your x sub 1, y sub 1. This is your x sub 2, y sub 2, which is yung ating x sub 2 is also the same as x sub 1. Now, the easiest option here is to use the horizontal strip because we'll be utilizing y sub 1 and then y sub 2. So, you can just draw a horizontal strip here, okay? And then, yun na yun. You can just determine yung right minus left curve, which is in this case, ano ba yung ating nasa right curve? So, we have A that is equal to, ano ba yung ating right? So, di ba, all throughout this, you can have the right minus left curve, which is the circle minus this ellipse. And in that circle, kung mapapansin nyo, you have to make sure na if you're dealing with the right portion, you could imagine dividing those figure natin into two. Yung division mo is of course depende kung right and left ang ginagamit mo, which is dy, so dapat right and left din yung division mo dyan, para ma-determine kung it is the positive or the negative side. So for this kasi ang magagamit natin is yung positive side ng rectangle ay yung circle natin, and for this ellipse yung negative portion ng ating ellipse. So that is very important. So from this case, the right side of our circle, which is the positive side, would mean that we need to determine yung ating y squared in terms of x in terms of y function of y. So diba, from this we could say na ating x squared is equal to 1 minus y squared and then minus 3x, and then determine this, we have x equal to positive negative the square root of sorry, before this pala, kailangan natin mo nang i-express siya by completing the square. Kasi this is x squared plus 3x, so we have to make sure na we complete the square. So that's 9 over 4. And then this is equal to 1 minus y squared plus 9 over 4. Okay, so with this we have x plus 3 halves, okay, and then squared, and then this is equal to 1 plus 9 over 4, so that is 13 over 4. So that's 13 over 4 minus y squared, and therefore our the function in terms of y would be x is equal to 13 over 4 minus y squared square root and then minus 3 halves. So that's plus or minus. Okay, so this is your equation for your circle in terms of y. So using the horizontal strip. Now how about how about our ellipse? So for the ellipse, we have 2x squared, which is equal to and then minus 8x. This is equal to 5 minus y squared. And remember, since this one is hindi siya complete yung square, so we have to complete that. But then again, we can just divide this by 2. So that's x squared minus 4x. That is equal to 1 half. And then 5 minus y squared. And then you can have x squared minus 4x plus 4 here. That is equal to 1 half quantity 5 minus y squared and then plus 4. So this gives us x minus 2 quantity squared. Okay? So this is equal to, pwede natin na ngayon i-add yung 1 half or 5 halves and then plus 4. So that becomes 13 over 2 and then minus 1 half y squared. Okay, and then we can have x is equal to plus or minus the square root of, you can just have 13 minus y squared over 2 and then plus natin ngayon yung 2. So we have already two equations in terms of y, pure functions of y, and then x lang yung natira dito. Okay, so from this we could find na yung ating equation. So with this, the integral from y sub 1 to y sub 2, that is negative 1.3903 to 1.3903. And then the right curve minus the left curve. So right is the positive side of the circle. So that is, nasan ba yung circle? This is the circle, and the positive would be, of course, yung positive niya. So that's square root of 13 over 4 minus y squared minus 3 halves. And then you subtract yung ating left portion ng ating ellipse. So that's the negative. So minus the negative of 13 minus y squared over 2 plus 2. And then you close this to dy. Okay? So siguro sulat ko lang ulit dito ng bilis. So we have a is equal to the integral from negative 1.3903 to positive 1.3903. But then again, yung ginagamit ko is stored value para saktong-sakto siya. So that is square root of 13 over 4 minus y squared. And then yung 3 halves nasa labas yun ng natin, radical sign. So minus the negative of square root of 13 minus y squared over 2 and then plus 2. Okay, and then close natin to in dy. Okay, so ito yung tinatype natin sa calcu para ma-integrate. So let's use the calculator kung magagawa natin siya. Okay, so medyo okay, so type natin the integral, sana kasya, no? 1.39028715. Okay, so yun, the answer is 1.6352. So ganun lang siya kasimple, 1.3652. So the area is equal to 1.6352 square units. Okay. Automatic yung calculator nasisira after mag-solve. So yan, that is our answer for this problem. That's 1.6352. So let's check kung nakuha natin the same. So that's the same 1.6352 dun sa ating handout. Now, what do we do here kapag ginamit naman natin yung ating vertical strip, no? So actually, we don't have any problem with a vertical strip. It's just that meron tayong dalawang gagawin dito. Kasi if you go back to your itira natin yung mga intersections kasi gagamitin natin yan later. Okay. So if you be using the vertical strip, mapapansin natin na dito kasi ang hatian niya would be here. Meron siyang dalawang areas. Ano? And then, actually, dito sa ating vertical strip, ang kailangan natin pag-subtract din is yung kanilang sariling function, di ba? Upper curve minus lower curve ng mismong ellipse, and then upper curve and lower curve ng mismong circle. Okay? So, it makes sense that we have to also express all of our equation in terms of y, and then y is equal to f of x. So from this, for the circle, we have y squared, diba? That this is y squared is equal to 1 minus x squared minus 3x, which in turn gives us y is equal to positive or negative square root of 1 minus x squared minus 3x. Okay, and then for our ellipse, we have y squared is equal to 5 minus 2x squared plus 8x. And then therefore, this is y is equal to plus or minus the square root of 5 minus 2x squared plus 8x. Okay? And then, using the vertical strip, you can see that there are two areas. This is the area 1 and this is the area 2. So therefore, the total area can be determined by adding the two areas. And then for the first area, we have, let's take a look at this ellipse muna. So that's the upper and the lower part of that ellipse. So that's positive. Ito yung ating gagamitin. Positive, before we proceed with this, we need to determine muna yung gagamitin natin na values, diba, ng x. So, we're not be using this y kasi nga alam naman natin na hindi naman yun yung gagamitin natin kasi we're talking about the vertical strip here. So, pag vertical strip, ang ginagamit natin is x values. So, hindi ito yung x values na yun. So, the reason is that kapag nag-x values tayo, dapat from this point going to this point, not from some points here na equivalent to sa ating y sub 1 and y sub 2. Because if we do that, then I mean, for that case kasi, 0.352 lang yun nandito. So, okay na tayo doon. 0.352 to, negative 0.352. But how about this one? So, the only thing that we can deal with this is to find it. And then, paano ba natin siya hanapin? Di ba we could see it from here na yon is the, parang, from the point of, I mean, from the ellipse itself, you can see that the center lies somewhere here, and that is the, parang ano, para siyang yung, the principal axis, which is the A distance from the center. So, you could just determine yung center natin and then find A, or you could just substitute yung ating y is equal to 0 and then determine that value of x. So, that is based on the graph, diba? Pero syempre, kung halimbawa, wala kayong graph, medyo mahirap yung hanapin. That's why we always have to make sure na you use the graph para ma-visualize kung ano yung nangyayari sa atin. So from this, I'll be setting the value of this y equal to 0 para ma-compute natin yung isang value of x, which is 2x squared minus 8x is equal to 5. And therefore, the value of x in this case would be equal to negative 0.5495. Okay, so this is your value of x, and it makes sense naman kasi nga if you'd be looking at this, that should be farther from negative 0.352, which yeah, makes sense. So from this case, we could have the limits as negative 0.5495 going to negative 0.352. And then what is that certain equation? So you use the ellipse, that's positive 5 minus 2x squared plus 8x square root, and then minus the negative 5 minus 2x squared plus 8x. Okay, and then that's it for your first area. Okay, and then the second area you add. So the second area natin, so from this point, negative 0.352, you also have to determine kung ano yung value nito, which can be done by setting the value of y equal to 0 as well. Kasi kita naman natin na from this expression, the symmetry lies along the x-axis, which in this case, yung center natin lies along the x-axis as well. So from this, we can determine that by setting this y equal to 0. So therefore, x squared plus 3x is equal to 1. Determine our x values. So, syempre, yung kukunin natin dyan is the positive one kasi there are two values na it can give, the positive and the negative. So, we'll be using the positive. That is 0.3028. Okay. So, from that, we could just use negative 0.352 and then 0.3028, and then we can have here yung formula natin. So, that's the positive portion of your, I mean, the upper curve minus the lower curve. So, that's square root of 1 minus x squared minus 3x, and then subtract natin yung negative. So, that's square root of 1 minus x squared minus 3x, and then the x. Okay? And the answer should give you, yeah, so, ta-type nyo lang yan, no? So, hopefully, kaya siya ng calculator kasi sometimes, hindi na rin kaya pag tinype nyo diretso. So, you can just chop those functions, and then, i-try nyo, isulat na lang yung sunod, if ever. So, actually, para din siyang, 2 square root. Pwede rin siyang ganun yung isulat, pero, I'm sticking with this way para ma-visualize nyo na that's always the upper curve and minus the lower curve. So, that's negative 0.5495. So, susulat ko yung values niya na nakastore dito up until dun sa largest value na kaya natin. And then for A, we have negative 0.352. Okay, so from this, I hope kaya ng calculator siyang integrate ng mabilis. So, para medyo natatagalan siya. Okay, so the first area is 0.3684017. So, we could write that. That's 0.368. So, for our area 1, we have 0.368401727. And that is the area that is, ito yan. Okay, for the ellipse yan. And for the circle naman, so you just have to perform the same operation, write it, and then, ayun, integrate. So, write natin, square root of 1 minus x squared. Actually, sa ibang prof, di nila ina-allow tong paggamit ito kasi nga integration. Pero sabi ko nga, I don't see anything wrong with using this kasi nga, syempre sa board exam, ginagamit naman din to Pangalawa, it's just that ang skills kasi na gusto kong i-develop dito is more on you or knowing how to find yung mga intersections natin, yung paggamit ng vertical horizontal strip rather than knowing how to literally do complex integration kasi tapos na tayo dun Nagawa na natin siya nung midterm. Hopefully, naintindihan naman talaga. So, that is 0.302 8. Let me just check kung na-store ko yun. Ayun. So, 0.302 and then 7756377. Okay? And you press equals. So, ayun. So, you have to expect na yung sum nito would give you the same results for the area that we've already computed. Hindi ko nakita yung nangyari kasi nawala bigla. So, i-repeat ko na lang sa calculator ko. Yung kasi yung problema nung virtual calculator na yun, nagkakaproblema talaga siya lagi. Kapag nag-compute ako, nawawala na. Tapos, there are times na last time, nung ginamit natin, nagka-problema sa recording. Kaya very, patawag dun, vulnerable for errors. Kaya, I mean, not the process of, of integration at saka yung as a function niya sa calculator, but yung, technicality nung, yun, So, siguro I'll be downloading another emulator or using yung class quiz na lang siguro for that. Pero syempre, sabi ko nga, nag-stick ako sa paggamit ng 570 na yon kasi nga, alam naman natin na yun lang yung allowed sa board exam. So, hopefully, is masanay kayo using that certain calculator. Kasi pag yung iba, tapos nasanay ka na din, tapos biglang bago. So, medyo mahirap. Kaya kailangan bata pa lang. Maaga pa lang is, na kayo. Parang sanay na kayong gamit ng calculator na gagamitin nyo din sa board exam. That's 1.266. So, ngayon lang natapos yung calculator, no? 752628. So, therefore, yung area total natin is just the sum of this. So, add natin and hopefully makuha natin yung same answer as before. So, that's 1.6352. Okay, so we were able to arrive at the same results using our vertical strip. So, hopefully ay nasundan nyo yung nangyayari dito, no? Kung kailan ba tayo nag-a-add ng areas, kung kailan isa lang yung area natin. Basta you just have to lie on the, strips natin. Dun, yung siya yung magsasabi sa inyo kung ilang bang areas yung ating gagamitin. And of course, yung mga symmetry natin, kung kailan negative or positive. And that's why gusto ko tong sana is parang online class kasi sometimes na mahirap siyang intindihin pag first time mo siya nakita and then, yun nga, parang may mga portion dito na parang ang hirap i-grasp kasi hindi mo rin talaga parang ma-visualize. So, it is always best to show it through a graph and then make sure na you follow yung ating rules. Diba? Okay. So, 1.6352. Again, let's check kung yun nga yung sagot. So, 1.635. Okay. So, yun nga yun. And then, 1. Ayan. So, with this, I'm done with 2, 4, 6. So, hope kaya nyo sagutan yung 3, 5, and then 7. So, ganun lang din naman yung concept niya. Walang pinagkaiba. Same lang din.